Facebook Live, talking today. I'm Super Joe Pardo for anyone that doesn't know, and this is Super Sam over here for anyone who doesn't know. All the way. Well, actually, what is it? It's always the other way. Like toilets flush the other way. Lots of things happen the other way down in Australia. For anyone that doesn't know, Super Sam, she is down in Sydney, Australia. And for anyone who doesn't know me, I'm in just outside of Philadelphia in good old South Jersey, in the US of A. So, today, we're here to announce that I'm hosting my first collaborative event, my first collaborative mastermind, with a very special friend of mine that I'm very excited to be doing it with. I'm excited. I hope you're excited over there. I hope you watching at home, all five of you at the moment, are super excited. Sam, we're hosting the Business Freedom Mastermind. Are you excited?
I'm super excited. And I didn't know that this was your first collaboration. So this is like even more exciting than I thought.
I am pumped. I'm honored to get to work with such greatness as yourself, and to be able to do something like this in a collaborative manner. It's exciting. I'm really excited.
Absolutely. And I think what's amazing about this is we both bring so much to the table, and to be able to, well, we both bring so much to the table, but to put that together as well, what we've planned is super incredible and very exciting.
It is. So I think we should probably start off by introducing each other. So if you don't mind, I'd love to go first to introduce you.
Go for it.
So I got to know Sam, I guess it's been 3 years now, going on 4 years?
Actually 5 years. I worked it out this morning.
It's 5 years.
Yeah.
It's really been, oh man.
Yep.
Okay, so for 5 years I have been friends by chance, right? It just so happened that Esther Kish reached out and was like, hey, I got this great person that you gotta have on your podcast. She's down in Australia. And I was like, yeah, sure, of course, let's do it. And it's been 5 years of a cultivating journey of creating a freedom business for both of us.
Yeah.
And getting to watch you grow from like, I'm having a podcast and writing this book, to hosting an event on the West Coast of America, where like you've only spent a very limited amount of your time in the first place. Shout out to Disneyland for anyone who's, big into the Disneyland thing. And, to take on things like that. And now, all these years later, be crushing it in all these events that you're doing up and down I assume it's on the East Coast of Australia.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah, like all over the place. Like you're always taking pictures and all that, like at all the different awesome locations that you get to travel to. Yeah. And it's just what I love about Sam's story and what I've used to tell other people, like especially when I worked at the nonprofit, they'd be like, hey, I don't want this internship where I work at this supermarket stocking shelves. And I'm like, hold on, time out a second. First off, I grew up working in a warehouse, right? So like you can take that knowledge of like the basic systems and processes. But it's not just me telling them, right? It's also me sharing Sam's story of like dropping out of high school, going to work at McDonald's and saying, I want more than this. And I think that I find this stuff really interesting. These systems and processes really interesting. And then turning that into not one, but two multi-million-dollar businesses. I mean, that story to me, I don't know, it resonates with me and it resonates with the people that I end up telling. And now you're well on your way to your third, in a way that you're helping other people create their impact in their industries and their niches. So, I just love it. I just absolutely love it. And I'm honored to be able to get to share this stage with not just this stage, but also MapCon stage with you, which takes place when a day after this event. So Super Sam Is there anything that I left out?
That was incredible.
Probably a lot,
I can't remember. I've been around for a while, so yeah, sure, there was plenty that you left out. But I can't believe how much you got in there and how much you remembered, because we didn't even chat about this before we hit record, right? That is incredible. I just love you so much. And
I love you too, Sam.
We always have these little mutual love things happening, don't we? And thank you for your kind words. It was so cool. And now I want to introduce you, because I think it is incredible that we did meet 5 years ago, and I feel so blessed. Esther, as you mentioned, introduced me to a lot of amazing people, and you yourself. And when I interviewed, when I was on your podcast, I'd only done like 2 or 3 interviews before. I don't think I knew that. Nervous. No, lucky we didn't tell you that. I was so nervous. This is hilarious, because I don't know if you can even remember this, but after the interview, I think you and I stayed on the call for over an hour afterwards, chatting about, our partner. We're talking about Melissa and Leon, both of our partners working, and, talking about how we relate with, living with someone that's in corporate and being an entrepreneur. And I think that it was from there we had such a great connection that we've talked a lot. And I think what's incredible is that, that you love systems and processes like I do, and how you helped your family company go. Where did it go from to, when you were in there, you took it to over $100 million, but where was it at before that?
I mean, so like the big, like a lot of it was in the processes, as I always focus on the team, offer, and process. So a lot of it was in the processes, enabling business to flow faster, and implementing technology, and implementing the algorithm that we took our inventory levels from like close to $6 million down to like 3. It was between 2.5 and 3 million in under 2 years. Most of that happened in the first year, just by implementing the algorithm and really massaging the processes in which we were implementing to get there. And yeah, so I mean, in the process, the profit margin went up, the ROI went up, everything for the most part in most of the stores that we had over 10 stores plus 2 repair shops, and at the end we had, I don't know, it was like 10 trucks or something like that, heavy duty trucks that were delivering product for all different customers, and a brokerage and a properties company. So there was a lot of things going on, a lot of balls being juggled, not just by me. I mean, I can't, take all the credit, but by my dad and my grandfather up until he passed away in 2012, I believe it was, or 2009, actually. I think it might have been 2009. And yeah, so there was like so many pieces. I mean, we had like over 150 employees, and it was this massive thing. So trying to implement really anything is a hassle when you have employees and team members that have been there for as long as you had been alive. And you're trying to like tweak and see things so that you're making it easier, not just on myself, but so that to free myself up, always in the pursuit of like, how can I implement technology? How can I implement a process? How can I implement it so that somebody else can step in, do what I'm doing? And it's not just about me. It's about like, even, it's something as simple as like the purchase order log on the counter, right? So we had, I had implemented a purchase order log that was online and digital back in like 2008, probably 2007, something like that. And it enabled, it wasn't like, I'm coming in to fill in for Sam because Sam's out sick today or Sam's out on vacation. I'm coming into her store. It's not my store. I don't know where everything's at. I especially don't know where your purchase order log is. So when the customer calls up and says, hey, where's my parts at? I have no idea. I have no idea where we're at with it. But with the have everybody on the same page, we not only were able to track stuff across all the stores, but we were able to plug people into those stores a lot easier. And there was a lot more steps that I think that had I not left in 2014, we could have taken those steps a lot further. But life happens.
Yeah, it does. And I think that, it's through all the experiences that we have that we are able to take into whatever our next thing is. It gives us not just the experience, but the understanding and the empathy with our clients to, you know, we've been there, we've done that. We understand. And I think that those life lessons happen just exactly as they're meant to happen.
I agree. Everything happens for a reason. And
Totally.
so when it comes to, you know, I talked about my approach, you know, following the team to offer the processes, you know, I mean, I even have a TV show I'm producing called the team offer process. What's your take on how you approach business differently, especially with the experiences that you've had over the years?
Yeah. So what's different about me is I do very much talk about systems and processes, but I specifically have niched into helping people become more visible, because this is something that I have always done in all of my businesses. And so I help people with their positioning, I help people to build their profile, and then the processes comes into the leverage part. But I help them specifically with their positioning and their profile first, and then we look at the leverage, which is the systems and processes second.
Yeah, I think, you know, that's one thing I think a lot of people don't really put a lot of focus on is the marketing of themselves. You know, when I think about some of the most famous businesses, famous brands, you know, you think of the Richard Bransons, the Elon Musk, the Steve Jobs, like these are businesses that have developed cult followings because they have somebody that people look at and like, oh, that's the person, right?
Yeah.
Like,
and that's
there's
right.
the guy.
We follow them. It's the Oprah Winfrey. You ask,
yeah,
you know, near on any entrepreneur, female entrepreneur, who they want to meet. It's Oprah, it's Ellen, it's Brené Brown. It's not a business name that we connect with. It's the person. And, you know, when you're thinking about Richard Branson, his brand, his profile, the way he's positioned himself is completely separate to Virgin. But we connect with Richard, and then that's why so many entrepreneurs fly Virgin. You know, it's the person that we connect with. And especially now in this online space, it's getting bigger and bigger. We need to be really setting our brand. It's like our insurance policy moving forward, because none of us know what business is going to do in the future. We're in this time where things are happening and changing at a really fast rate, the fastest rate that it's ever happened in the world ever. And we don't know what's going to happen. So we need to have this insurance policy of our brand, and then we use that brand to build our business.
So I think it's important that we talk about the why we approach business differently.
Yeah.
And so why don't you get started about telling some of your story about how and what, like, not how, but why you approach business differently than you would have, you know, a number of years ago. Not to date you.
I know, because I only look 17, right?
Well,
yeah, let's not go there.
we put the Facebook the Snapchat filter on. You won't be able to tell the difference.
That, and I can have little stars coming out of my head. No, seriously. The way that so I do have a model, the thought leaders positioning model that we just talked about. You know, work on the positioning, the profile, and the leverage. But the piece that I sit underneath this is helping people to set up their business to be integrated into the life that they want. So thinking about having your life by design first, and then fitting your business in to match that, not the other way around. And the reason that I do this is because when I opened my very first business back in 92, maybe 93, early 90s anyway.
I was trying not to date you.
I had two little kids. I had a 2-year-old and a 3-year-old, and I was working corporate, and I absolutely hated it. And I decided that I didn't want to work corporate anymore. So I don't come from an entrepreneurial family, but I instinctively knew that I needed to start my business to get to where I wanted to go, that to earn the money that I wanted to earn, that I needed to be in business, to be able to do what I wanted with my kids and give them what I wanted. I wasn't going to get that from being in corporate. So the question I asked myself was, what business should I start? So I thought, well, I've been a dancer all my life. How about I open a dance studio? And when I first opened that, I was working corporate in the day and I was teaching dance at night and on the weekends. And then we opened a dance store within 12 months of that, so I could leave my corporate job. So I was pretty much starting work at 8 in the morning and getting home at 9, 10 at night. The question that I should have asked myself, Joe, is why do you want to leave your corporate job? Because the answer would have been to spend more time with my children. So can you hear the difference there? So instead of being in a job or in a business where I was out of the home for like 14 hours a day, I've gone into it, like I haven't married up what I wanted my life to be like. So I spent years and years and years of my children growing up in the dance studio, desperately wanting to spend time with me. And I'm like, yeah, just go play in the corner. Just go play in the corner. While I dealt with everyone else's children and not with my own. So now I help people to ask the right question. What do you want your life to be like? What would it be like if you could have anything you wanted? Because guess what? We can have whatever we want. We are so blessed to live in this time with the internet that we can do whatever we want. If it's traveling the world, whether it's working when the kids are at school, whether it's having some mansion on a hill, we can have it all. But we've got to ask the right questions. So that is why I do what I do. And the model is just the piece that sits on the top. That's what I teach. It's how I help people to get to that freedom business, doing whatever it is that they want to do. And, you were talking before, Joe, about, if we didn't do this or that, I can say I wish that I didn't work 14 hours a day for all those years. However, it's brought me perfectly to where I am now, of saying to people, you know what, don't make my mistake. Let's do it a different way.
I think I try to talk from that perspective as well too, because I've made plenty of mistakes to get to where I'm at. And one of those things people used to ask me a lot was like, oh, did you feel like you should have left sooner from your family's business? And I mean, from a burnout standpoint, probably, but not from a I got to learn a lot in those last handful of years leading up to me just making that final decision to depart. So you're exactly where you're supposed to be. But you're absolutely right. If you're not asking the right questions, if you're not thinking in a broader sense of how can I make it so that I'm actively living the life that I want. I mean, it's that story about the fisherman, the fisherman in Mexico, the businessman comes down and the fisherman is like, oh, I do the fishing and I sell the fish and it's all good. And he's like, oh, well, you could scale this up and do all these things. And, and then what would you do? Well, I'd go on a boat and go fishing. That's what I'm doing now. And it's cool. I think it's important to not just look at how do I make more money, but how do I make money? How do I reduce the amount of money I need so that I'm really focused on what it is I'm trying to accomplish with my life and the goals that I'm setting for it. And then say, okay, well, then I only need to make this amount of money because I don't have to have the Ferrari and I don't have to have the giant yacht and I don't have to have the house that's bigger than I'm ever going to even sleep in any of the be able to sleep in all those rooms. I don't
if someone actually wants that, you don't need that, but someone else might say, I want that.
Exactly.
And then that's okay too. So
it is. It absolutely is. That's why I'm saying you have to figure out for you, what is it that you actually want? So then you're not just buckshotting the idea, I got to have $1 million or I could never move to California and live on the beach. Because I don't have $1 million, so I can't do that. You don't need $1 million to do that.
Yeah, and our life is different at different times as well. So you want a business that's fluid. I mean, we can see that there's a lot of toys in the background there. I'm glad that I don't have toys in the background here.
So fortunate.
I don't need to work, around my children to make sure that they're at school or, spend time with them because they're all grown up now. So for me now, where I wanted that, 15 years ago, now what I want is to be traveling the world, which is why I'm coming to America. Reminds me of the old Eddie Murphy film, Coming to America.
I was about to say that, actually. I, if you have a question about, you know, your business or what you're thinking about, either starting or you're already in, like, you already have a business, but you're like, how do I take that business and kind of alleviate some of the pain points that I'm feeling? Because, like, you know, there's a handful of things that just, like, you know, I don't know how to let go of those things. I don't know how to get somebody else to either do it or not. I don't have the power to let power go, right? You become powerless in that sense. Ask your questions below. And I think we're gonna move on. So if you ask the questions, we will absolutely answer them. You know, just ask them in the chat. I'll throw it up on the screen. You'll see your name, you'll see your picture right over here, and we will get those questions answered. So let's talk about the event a little bit here, Sam. The Business Freedom Mastermind.
Absolutely. So you and I have got the same philosophies, right? It's really important to build your lifestyle first and then build a business to match. We've both got stories of how we got here, and it's by making lots of mistakes. And you and I were discussing, okay, well, what could we do? And it was super easy, right, to come up with this. We came up with it in probably 2 minutes because we're just like, well, this is what I believe and this is what I believe. Great, let's do that. But I think that for you and I, what we want to do is help people to get to the next level. And a lot of people say that, you know, we can help you get to the next level. But you and I have got a real understanding of what needs to happen to help you get to the next level for where you are now, because it's not exactly the same thing. And what I find really intriguing is that, you know, a lot of business coaches will say, oh, I help you get to 7 figures. Well, for someone that's earning $0 and for someone that's earning $10,000 a month and for someone that's earning $500,000 a year, what they need to do to get to that 7 figures is completely different, right? So this is about us saying, okay, well, where are you at right now? Let's help you move the needle and do what's that one thing that you need to do right now to get you to the next level?
Yeah. And I think it's, I think there's a lot more thought that people don't usually get sold on, that needs to go into that. Like, okay, I'm making 0 and now I'm going to go and make $1 million. So that, I mean, there's a lot that goes into that. And even in most cases, in a lot of businesses, you know, to get to $1 million, like, you need quite a few employees to make that happen. You're not just like, oh, and just because you're selling $1 million worth of stuff, you know, to equate that to revenue, like $1 million worth of revenue, like, there's a lot of costs that go along with that. Even, you know, I mean, there's a handful of different businesses and niches and things that you can do that, like, have a lot lower cost. And finding those, finding that is not impossible, but you have to have an open mind to, like, know that even exists. If do you understand how the internet works, and do you know how to, market it on the internet yourself, create those videos, do those live streams, be interesting enough, and then understand that, like, hey, I can hire, VAs, virtual assistants, to do certain tasks that I shouldn't have to do because my time could be better selling or marketing or creating or whatever it is. So there's just so many different avenues that you need to be able to have your eyes open to get there. And so I, when you say, hey, what's needed at $0 is not what's needed at $1 million. Sometimes it could be as simple as, let's go back to square one and pretend like we had nothing. And how do we, like, what would we do to get there? But that's not always the case, because it depends on what the situation is. Every situation is unique. Absolutely.
And what I find really, really intriguing about you and I coming together is we've both been in product-based businesses and we've both been in service-based businesses, and we have both taken traditional business from before the internet to the online world. Like, how many people come together that have got all of those skill sets together?
Not that. I mean, I don't think many, but I'm just one person. What do I know?
Yeah, exactly. You and I just have our blinkers on doing what we do.
Absolutely. So we decided like, hey, let's put this event on. We're doing it the day before the Mid-Atlantic Podcast Conference. If you're not familiar with that, it's in Atlantic City. Go to midatlanticpodcast.com to go learn more, get your ticket. If you want to learn more about podcasting, if you want to hang out with people like Sam, like me, like Hall of Fame podcasters, go check it out. It's in Atlantic City, New Jersey at the crazy awesome Ocean Resort Casino. It was like a $2 billion building, just like back in 2008 or 2009 when it was built. And it might have even been 2012. Anyway, it's this insane building. You're really gonna love it when you're there. And there's so many things to do and see while you're there. And because Sam is coming in like a week early or like 4 or 5 days early ahead of time, we were like, we should do an event. We're already doing an event together the next day for podcasting. That you can get a premium ticket for MapCon and go and learn how to turn your podcast into your business. And this, we're like, hey, well, what if we got, 10, 12 people together, and we were like, what if we talked about how they can turn their business into their freedom business, and get freedom from their business? Because that's one thing, like, money can buy it, but like, if our mindset is not there to like and have the power to let power go, we're never going to get there. You can't buy that mindset. You have to really like develop it yourself from the inside out. And that's one of the things that, Sam has been great at helping people. I've been great at helping people with, and it's, I say it every podcast, interview that I'm on, I always say, build your business for your lifestyle, not your lifestyle for your business. Because, their businesses are like cold, hard boxes that are robots that want to run 24/7, but they're filled with like gooey insides, and that the gooey insides are people, and they have outside influences and outside issues and outside like everything is going on. So trying to clear some of that air so that you can think more clearly and see the bigger picture of like, this is the lifestyle I want. How do I get my business? And it's not going to happen overnight, right, Sam? I think that's the thing. We're not trying to sell like, hey, if you have a business or don't have a business, we can take whatever you're doing and turn it into your freedom business, and it'll be like, boom, like or like the from Bewitched, right? You just like wiggle the nose and and boom, like all of a sudden you're just like, now I'm on a beach hanging out like all the time, and I don't know what to do with myself. And this happened like overnight. It's a process, and that's one of the things that it's like, we want to help you through that process.
Yeah, and it is a process, because I know when someone very first said to me back a few years ago, you can create whatever you want. At the time they said it to me, when I was running 3 businesses, and I had 3 kids at home, and I was so busy, like crazy busy, close to burnout. I actually took offense to that and said, you've got no idea. You're not in my shoes. You don't know what it's like. How would you know? I cannot have whatever I want. But I had to let the ego down and go, well, okay, let me explore that. What could it look like if I had whatever I wanted? And it was at that point that I could start to make the changes and the daily decisions to get me to, it took me from that point where someone said that to where I was like super freedom business was about 4 years. But we're talking from 3 traditional businesses, not having any time off, to having a business that I absolutely love. So 4 years actually isn't that long.
Nope. And it feels long. And especially when you have that mindset of like, I got to do it faster. I got to pull out the beast mode. It feels like an eternity. I know I'm, to a certain extent, I'm living that now, in my family, being back at the repair shop, working towards building that into something much, much greater than just one shop. And But the fact of the matter is when we turn around, it's like, hey, it took 3 years, but like, look at the product that we've put together. Look what we have to show for it.
Totally. But let me just say, it took me 4 years because I had to figure out the process. It takes my clients between 1 and 2 years.
There you go. There you go. So these are the the type of results that you're looking, and by going and joining us at this Business Freedom Mastermind, this is just that first step, right? That opening the Pandora's box of like the what if, what could my lifestyle look like, and what do I need to get in place and start to build that game plan to get you to where you want to be. Because again, it's not going to happen overnight, especially if you already have an operating business. If you don't, then I think you have a lot more freedom to like learn and experiment and kind of like build like faster towards the lifestyle, rather than like, oh, I already have this, it's literally killing me 100 hours a week or even like 80 hours a week to be doing this. I love it. I love the money. I love what it provides for me, my family, the people that I'm employing. I love all that. But how do I get to the point where I'm working maybe 40 hours a week or 30 hours a week, that kind of thing, where it's not your job that runs your life. It's it's the lifestyle that you enjoy. And people, there's a lot of people I'll talk to like, hey, I love my lifestyle. I love working all the time, every day. And I mean, look, I enjoy creating and all that, but there's a definite difference, and you need to recognize where you're at in life as well. Like I got toys behind me, right? Like what I'm able to accomplish and what somebody else is able to accomplish that has no toys sitting behind them is totally different.
Totally. But it's all about having someone asking you the right questions. Was it you, Joe, that said to me, you can't read the label from inside the jar? Was it you that said that to me?
No, you told me that the other, I think it was just on your podcast, I thought, wasn't it?
Yeah. So I only heard it for the first time a couple of weeks ago. I thought
you think you told me? I didn't say that.
Well, I think it's really cool, right?
I think it is too.
The label from inside the jar, and because it's about someone else being able to help you. So I'll just quickly share. We were talking about took me 4 years. When someone is able to see it clearly. So I had a client come to me maybe about 18 months ago, and he was fully booked. Like, he was so stressed. Like, we're not talking someone that couldn't get leads. He had so many leads. He's like, I can't get to my sales calls. I've never been in business before. I don't know what to do. So he was super smart to reach out, right? And within 2 weeks, we had sorted out his offering so that it was leveraged. He added $100,000 to his business within those 2 weeks. And he went from being stuck working in his apartment 24/7 to working around the world. I don't think he's been home in like 7 months, and he's running like, it's super cool. He's just like, at the moment, he's sitting on an island in Greece, sipping rosé. Like, how cool is that? So it's just, someone else being able to look from the outside and go, okay, I can see what the problem is here. Do this, this, and this. But you have to be open to it. You have to be open to, how could this be different?
So speaking of the Business Freedom Mastermind and how being open, and one of the things that we as facilitators have to do is create a safe space for people to talk, to share, to learn from one another. That and that's one of the things that, like, I don't think everyone understands being a part of it. Is like, it's not just about us dictating how to go about doing it and being like, oh, here's the game, the game plan book. Like, poof, like, you got to do it this way because this is the only way of doing it. It's also about, having different people in different niches, in different industries, with different experiences, different backgrounds, that all come together to blend together solutions for each other, as well as us providing some of those solutions. It just depends on, the different perspectives, the different mindsets that people already have going into it. It's not just about us like dictating, like, okay, you can have that passive income business and all that stuff. it's not like that at all.
No, it's about bringing great minds together and collaborating, because you and I will see one thing, someone else will see something else. Now imagine, you know, you say one thing and I go, oh, what about this? And add a layer on top of that. And someone else at the table goes, oh, but what about this? And all of a sudden you have 12 people coming together that are all super smart. And imagine how many, you know, layers and how big that conversation, or how big that dream, or how big that, you know, goal then becomes. It's incredible. I love collaborations. I think they're fantastic.
I do too. That's why I'm super honored to get to do this with you, and looking forward to getting some really great people together to get, you know, to build solutions. You know, as entrepreneurs, as business owners, we are professional problem solvers, and you know, sometimes we want to feel like you know, the weight of the world is on our shoulders, and that we're going to figure everything out ourselves, and you know, but we also pay for those mistakes, right? And that's one of the things, like you could pay in time, you could pay in money, or time, money, or energy. Yeah. So it's, you know, one of the ideas is that by bringing certain people together, who are at different stages, at different, you know, in different niches, different backgrounds, we can come up with solutions for problems that you might not even realize that's the problem, right? It's like one of those things where it's like you pull the muscle in the shoulder blade, but it's actually not that. It's the neck. I'm sorry. It's the neck that's feeling all like tight and like you can't move it, but it's the shoulder blade that has the muscle that's pulled.
Exactly.
And, you know, but you don't know that until you find, you know, eventually you do research and find out. But you got to dig into it. You got to be willing to dig into it. Otherwise, you're just like, man, my neck is so stiff and I don't know why.
Totally.
So this event is who is this event for, Sam?
So this is for entrepreneurs, it's for business owners, it's for professionals who really want to get to or elevate to the next level in their lifestyle and in their income. Because here's the cool thing, you make more money, you've got more opportunities in your life as well, but making sure that they integrate properly, not just going, I want lifestyle or I want more income, like figuring out how to make both things happen at the same time. Is there anything you want to add there, Joe?
You know, I would say that this event is for anybody who is, you know, like I said before, you either have your business and you're ready to like, hey, you know, I would also argue that this is for the person that has the business and is looking down the road and saying, you know, I might want to retire in 4 to 5, 6 years. Right. Mm-hmm. Well, how am I going to do that? And one of the things that I work with, a number of the clients I work with is how to increase their business value. So if they decide like, hey, I'm going to sell it. Well, part of having the freedom is enabling yourself to be pulled out from under the business so that you can sell it and you don't have to keep working at it. Right. They don't have to pay you as an employee. And now it's like, oh, well, I went from having, you know, a good time at work every day to now I'm an employee and I have to listen to some corporate, you know, JO tell me what to do every day. And I don't like that. So part of this is also like, hey, I have this business. I might want to retire soon, or I don't want to sell it. I want to pass it down to somebody else that is in my family. How do I get myself out of it? What do I need? You know, what steps do I need? Because look, I've lived it. Like my grandfather did the work of like 5 different people. And when he left, he's like, now we have 5 people doing what one person did, and we still can't get it right. This was like early on in the time that he left. It happens. Being able to take a step back and like learn, like, okay, how can I be a better teacher? How can I, empower the people around me to be able to step up and do the things that I do and make the decisions that I'm making, without it all just kind of crumbling. Because I think that's the fear, right? Like we're always one day away from everything just like literally disappearing on us.
Totally.
I think that's one of those fears that's like, yeah, no, that's a legit fear. But at the same time, like if we aren't preparing our business for that disaster, if we aren't preparing ourselves or preparing our finances for that disaster, well, then what are we really accomplishing? Like short-term wealth here? Like that's cool if that's like your goal, but that's not cool for the other people that are depending on it, right? The families of the employees that you have, your family, if they're the ones on, you know, like that are requiring it. Those are the types of things where it's like, okay, if I can't pull myself out of this, that means I can't sell it. That means I can't pass it down. That means what does that mean for me? Or like, how do I find the qualities? I forget who I was talking to. I can't recall his name, but he was on a recent episode of my show where he's like, I looked for these types of traits in an employee. They have everything an entrepreneur would, but they don't have that entrepreneur. Like they're too scared to go out and do it on their own. They have everything else. They can make decisions. They can do, you know, the numbers. They don't make mistakes. They show up every day. They hustle their brains out when they're there, but they don't have. They're just missing that like. Don't be afraid to jump out of the plane thing alone.
Yes.
So finding those types of people and then trying to cultivate those kinds of people so that they stick around and be trained and feel welcome. Like there's so many aspects to building not just your lifestyle, but the people that you're surrounding and building those people up. So there's just so much, man. There's just so much.
There's so many moving parts, so many. But that's the fun part. I like the moving parts. I
Absolutely.
love it. I'm so addicted to business. I love it.
I do too. And trying to solve problems and coming up with outside of the box solutions. So, you know, I think I think the other thing is we wrote on the page, the businessfreedommastermind.com, you know, talking about the people that this isn't for, right? We're not looking for people who just care about the money and don't care about the results that they're giving for their customers or their clients. And we don't want people that are just going to come there and be, you know, everyone's going to be a little skeptical, right? Like I'm a product of South Philly. And Philadelphia is a blue collar city with a lot of skeptical people. And I don't blame them. Right. You know, so we don't want people that are just like, yeah, I paid all this money and like, you know, why don't I have the freedom business yet? Like, where's the freedom business? When are we getting to that part? Like,
well, I'm guessing though that there's not many of these people in a network, right? Like attracts like. This, you know, we're both very open-minded. We're both people that are continually learning. We've both got a growth mentality. We know that we don't have all the answers, so we're always learning from other people, being open to you know, us being better as business owners as well. So these are the kind of people that well, I know for myself, these are the kind of people that I attract into my world because like attracts like. So I'm guessing that anyone in your world, Joe, is going to be the same. You know, what can I do to make this better? And, you know, really lean in to coming up with a solution.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean that's the whole thing is finding out where the, you know, what's really the cause of our pains. You know, again, it's the stiff neck. It's not the neck. It's the muscle. You know, and finding those pains, talking with people, working through the issues, and finding the root cause of those issues, and starting to build a plan to make it happen. Because I mean, and as you know, like when you're working in your business versus on your business, it's two totally different things. And being in the moment is not conducive for, you know, being able to effectively grow that business, because you're constantly in the moment. And yeah, there's always the thought process afterwards when you're after hours or whatever. But I would say that to effectively implement those thoughts into like realistic plans that aren't drawn up on like bar napkin, bar math, if you will, or pub math, I should say. You call them pubs down there, right? Is it pubs? Yeah. Some pub math. You know, to like really do what the real big boys and big girls do, and by putting together actual plans and and then figuring out like, okay, how are we going to implement this, and then bake that into the plan so that and then keep yourself on track for it. Because it's really easy to be like, oh, I drew this up. It sounded cool. It sounded great. Sounds like it should work. But then it just never goes, right? It doesn't materialize because you're too busy in the day-to-day operations. You're too, focused on the like, oh, we only got this check in instead of that check, or why didn't we get this amount? And these are real things where it's like, hey, how am I going to make payroll this week?
Absolutely. We've both been there, right? And
yeah,
it's that, being in the urgent, important quadrant, the people that are running their business constantly in, this is urgent and important. We have to do this. They're constantly putting out fires, where I am actually the opposite. It's like, how often can I pull back and be out of my business and make sure that it's still running? But yeah, it takes a little while to get there. But working on my business, I hired my first business coach. That was the first thing he said, was you have to be out of your business, like to look after yourself and to get the vision back. And it changed my business. We doubled our revenue that year just by me stepping back and getting focused on the vision and helping my staff implement, instead of me being in there implementing all the time going, oh my God, why aren't my staff doing what they need to do? It was because I hadn't let them do it. And it's because I had given them no vision. Funny about that, right?
Believe me, it hits closer to home than you know. But so what I wanted to offer, and you wanted to offer, was the ability for anybody watching, listening. We're like 46 minutes into this, and I wanted to offer 50% off. I mean, if you go to the businessfreedommastermind.com, you'll see that the ticket price is $9.97 right now. If you put in action in all caps as a promo code, you will get 50% off this awesome event. I can't wait to be a part of it. I'm looking forward to learning as much as teaching, and that's, absolutely. I mean, right. I mean, that's the thing, is like whenever I'm talking to somebody, and that's, I always tell people, like, look, I don't read books, I read people. And that's one of the great things about getting to do podcasting. That's one of the great things about doing things like this. And just in general, getting to learn from other people's experiences so that I can shortcut my life and not make as many mistakes. I mean, sometimes I'm like, I could do it better. I'll do it better. Sometimes it works out, sometimes it doesn't. But at least I know, right? I can see the pitfalls, and it's like, I'm running towards this thing. I know I shouldn't do it. I was told not to do it. I have experience of myself to say not to do it, but I'm still doing it anyway because I'm going to do it differently. And like, I can see the train wreck happening in slow motion. And that's why I love to be able to talk to people. I love to learn from their lessons. And I mean, like I said, going back to the very beginning, telling people about your story and how you took a job at McDonald's as a high school dropout and turned it into so much more. You should have been paying McDonald's to work there.
Seriously, people laugh when I say that. Was like, seriously, working at McDonald's changed my life, because I just assumed that the systems and processes that McDonald's used was the way that everyone did business. It wasn't until I got older that I realized that everyone was like, oh, McDonald's is so great. I'm like, oh, I just took it for granted that that's the way that we're, meant to do it. So I'm just, God was looking after me when he put me in that job, because it really changed the course of my life. And I was so lucky because the person that owned that store also owned 4 stores. So not only was I learning the processes of McDonald's as a company, but he was teaching me. He took me under his wing and was teaching me how he managed 4 different sites, because I used to sit on the desk every day and say, hey, Chris, so tell me, like, teach me stuff. And because he was like, wow, there's this 15-year-old kid that's interested, he's like, I am going to give her as much as I can. And I owe so much to him. He taught me so much. And he was the one, when I said, I want to open a business, he's like, what do you need from me? How can I help you? And changed the course of my life.
Do you still talk to Chris?
I lost track. I lost contact with him. I don't know how to get back in contact. I've tried to find him. I don't know where he is. Not sure.
Probably on an island somewhere. It probably sold us four franchises or outsourced what he needed to do.
He's on a beach in Belize.
So what else, do you feel people should hear about if they're thinking like, hey, I should come to Atlantic City in September? I didn't write that up on the thing below, but it's September 5th from 9 a.m. to 4 p.m. There will be a lunch included. There's going to be a loaded goodie bag. Goodie bag, is that what we're calling it?
Gift bag. A gift bag.
Gift bag. Okay, gift bag. It's private lunch. There's going to be, you'll get a limited edition 234 Threads shirt. That's actually one of the shirts I'm wearing right now is a 234 Threads shirt designed by me. And we have a business freedom workbook that each guest, each attendee will be receiving to work through all their thoughts and, actions that they're going to take and all that stuff. What else, Sam? What else?
Well, let me just say that workbook alone, I use that with all of my clients. And just to give you an idea, the people I work with are super smart. They've been doing what it is that they do for a long time. And I had someone in a workshop with me only just a few months ago, and he is an absolute, these entrepreneurial people that you look up to. He's an older gentleman, and when you work with these people, and I think, I'm a little bit nervous because I look up to him. He's amazing. Anyway, I thought, well, let's just see how he goes with this workbook. And he said to me afterwards, he's like, oh my goodness, Sam, and he's in his 60s. He's like, this is one of the best things I've ever done because it's just gets me so focused and back on purpose to what I'm meant to be doing. So the workbook alone, I know, changes people's lives.
That is, I've seen it. I read it. I think did you use it at the event from like 2 years ago?
It's a lot different now, but it was I guess a 4 year ago version of it that I used at that event. And I remember you saying that you were intrigued what was happening in the room.
Oh, yes. No, the way that you weaved everything together was incredible. And I was in the back of the room finishing my slides, for a good chunk of that. So it was a very magical experience that I think really helped me form some of the thoughts that, would lead me down the path that I've gone and how I've changed course in those years since.
Wow.
So yeah, no, I absolutely. So that's why, again, I'm like super honored to get to host this with you.
And likewise, I can't wait to be. I've not been to Atlantic City, so I'm super looking forward to it. It sounds like it's an Instagram-worthy city.
Yeah, we'll go to.
I'll find the Instagram-worthy spots. Don't you worry.
There are. I'm sure there are. The building we'll be in is incredible. The hotels on the boardwalk are amazing. We will find those spots, I promise.
Don't you worry. My Instagram nose will sniff those places out.
So yeah, if you want to come to the Business Freedom Mastermind, go to businessfreedommastermind.com, enter in promo code ACTION in all caps to save 50% off of your ticket. Tickets are limited to 10 spots at the current moment. So we are looking to fill that room up. And I think also, I don't think it mentions it on the website, but I need to get it added. We do have calls after that, after the, follow-up calls as well.
Absolutely.
So that's part of it as well.
I'm all about action and implementation. That's why we've chosen the promo code ACTION, because I think that to be successful in business, you need to be an action taker. You need to make a fast decision to make sure that you get where you want to be. So we've added some calls afterwards to make sure that we can help out, implement, and make sure that you get the results that you're looking for, the outcomes that you're looking for.
Absolutely. Sam, it's been awesome having you here on Facebook Live, on the business podcast, which I don't think I mentioned in the beginning. So if you're listening to this in the podcast, this is, I mean, obviously you're listening to it an hour in. So it's been awesome having you. Do you have any last thoughts you'd like to share before we wrap up here?
Look, if you're thinking about coming and you're still not sure and you think, I'm not 100% sure this is for me, please reach out to either Joe or myself. I've just popped you in, Joe. I'm okay to jump on a call with you and discuss, whether it is the right room for you to be in for where you are right now. So, if you're on the fence, please reach out, and I'd love to have a chat. And you can listen to my accent.
Yes. Yeah. Well, yeah. If you're American, though, apparently you sound like an American. So
someone said that yesterday. I don't know why, because I don't think I sound American at all.
I mean, I don't, but you never know. I mean, what do I know?
I've just got a crazy mixed up accent now because I just travel so much.
Well, I hope everybody has a great week. If you have any questions, feel free to reach out to me to, Joe at superjoepardo.com, or on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, wherever you feel that you want to reach out. Just do so. Ask questions. Obviously, we don't feel that this is the right room for everybody to be in, so it is limited, it is exclusive, and we want to make sure that the right people are there to not only for you to help, or for you to be helped, but for you to actually to be able to help other people as well with your experiences. So it goes both ways, up, down, left, right, every which way, all the axes. Everybody, I hope you all have a wonderful week ahead. And Sam, thanks again. I think you're like turning into one of the most frequented guests on the show now.
Yes.
Yeah, I had to go back and check that, because it was being held by, I think, Al Kessel or Tayo or Tom Amin. One of those gentlemen were holding that title, and I think you might be surpassing them at this point. I have to go back and check. So,
well, I certainly hope that I am. Not that I'm competitive much.
No, not at all. Not at all. All right, everybody, have a great week.